So here in assignment 5, we are using this or looking at this little network here with PC1, PC2, switch 1 and switch 2. We're looking into the STP protocol, spanning tree protocol. And why are we doing this? What is the justification at all for working with that? Well, imagine that these networking devices were distributed between two buildings, an office building and a factory building, as shown here. And this cable between switch 1 and switch 2 could be a long cable so that you could not visibly see switch 1 and switch 2. So all this over here on the left-hand side is in one building and or one room, and the other networking devices here are in another room. This would potentially put in risk that you could come up with a duplicate connection between the two devices without knowing it, so accidentally having created this switch loop between the two switches, which will eventually possibly create a broadcast storm. And what we look into here in assignment 5 is that by enabling on switch 1 and on switch 2 STP spanning tree protocol, by enabling that, setting that to on both switches, they will talk to each other. They will decide that we are using this cable here and we are disabling the other cable, or in other words, we are disabling one of the ports here, one of the switch ports that participate in the switch loop. Why don't we just always have STP switched on? Well, everything comes at a cost, and in this case, the STP protocol will make the two switches generate traffic between each other. They will talk about, as I said before, what ports to use and what ports to disable. So they will make an overhead. They will use up use some bandwidth between the two devices. That's not always desirable to have this traffic running there. Let me take this away. So in order to work with this, in order to document what we're working with, we will not always use this physical layout diagram. We will use a more technical diagram, which I'll bring up here behind the scenes. So you can see I brought up the same network actually, but drawn as a network diagram now. I'll take the physical diagram away here. So there you go. There you have the our network diagram. One way of drawing a network diagram. We do not have a switch loop yet between switch 1 and switch 2, but I'll bring that up also. Duplicate connection between these two. Now we have VMnet 6. Let me bring up the other VMnets. Boom, here we go. So we're using VMnet 3, 4, 5, and 6 in VMware workstation to interconnect here. Now we have documented that we have a switch loop there. This could be done also if you have the power on your computer with 3 switches. So let me show you that also. It's not something you have to do, but if you have the time for it, you can do that. So let me bring up the 3rd switch. There we go. And if you have the power on your PC also, you can put in more PCs also, more networking devices. There you go. So 2 networking devices, PC 3 and 1 on switch 1, and PC 4 and 2 on switch 2, and so forth. So here we have the, now we actually have 2 switch loops. So that will generate some traffic between the 2 switches in order to decide what ports to disable. This network could also be documented in another way. Let me bring that up for you also. Here we go. So, well, it's not actually exactly that network. I'll leave those. Duplicate connection, go. And 3rd switch, go. So here now, what you see here, these 2 diagrams, they are identical. the diagram up here has some details on how to wire between the devices. You can see that clearly here. You have all the connections. Down here in the, let me call that cloud-based. It's not cloud-based, but it has a cloud that shows what network all the devices are on, and it shows exactly what IP addresses they are on, except for the workstation laptop. I didn't mention the workstation laptop here, but as you can see here, I have documented VMnet 3 as a hub, as a networking hub device, which is a simple layer 1 device. It will simply forward the electrical signals that come in here out on all its ports, and signals coming in here on, well, let me make this clear here for you. Signals coming in here will simply electrically be forwarded on like that, and that happens for all signals. Signals coming in here will be forwarded on all other ports. So that's a simple layer 1 connection. VMnet 5 and VMnet 4 works in the same way. So 2 different ways of documenting your network here. Of course, down here you don't have as many details as you have up here. What to use, it's up to you. It depends on your audience what the network should be used for.